Hey, I hope you're looking forward to coming on Sunday as much as I am having you here. So this is just a little bit of information about Formula One and the race in specific so that you know what to look out for. The race is in Bahrain, which is a country on the Persian Gulf, and that is a track layout in the corner. So first, a few facts. Formula One, formula means a set of rules, and one is the best one, but there is Formula Two, which is just like a feeder series, and there's Formula 3 and 4 and whatnot. Each race is a Grand Prix. Just is French for great prize, but doesn't really mean anything in particular, but you will definitely hear that on the TV. It's an open wheel single seater racing series. So NASCAR, for example, the cars look like normal road cars, and the wheels have fenders over them, and the driver has a roof and everything, but F1 cars are not, clearly. They travel the world. F1 has raced on 6 of the 7 continents, but it doesn't race in Africa anymore. It's in its 72nd year, very established, and something very exciting is 2022 is a whole new set of regulations. That means that a lot of the stuff, the engineering skills they had from before, might not come in handy, so no one quite knows who the best team will be, which is very exciting. A few more facts before we get into the drivers. All races are 305 kilometers, except for a really short one and a really long one. But this race is 305 kilometers, and so that'll be 57 laps. And there's usually 1 or 2 tire changes during the race. And that is a big strategic decision because newer tires race faster, but also it takes about 25 seconds in total to slow down, pull to the side, get new tires, and leave, even though the pit stop itself is about 2 seconds of stopped time. They do not do any mid-race refueling in Formula One now due to problems in the past where people caught on fire. So driver organization, this is how you figure out who you're going to root for. The thing you need to know is there are 10 teams. Each team has 2 drivers, so there are 20 drivers. And it's totally okay to have a favorite driver or a favorite team. So in other sports like basketball, people will trash talk people that are like just LeBron fans and only like him and not the team he's on, but it doesn't work like that in F1. You can like Ferrari, you can like Carlos, you can mix and match. And each driver can earn points towards the whole season-long championship, but you're going to be the first race, so just who does well is who's in the lead. So now we're going to lightning fast go through all the teams and all the drivers so that you can figure out which team and or driver you want to root for. I'll be going through them in the order of how well they did last year. So the further forward we go, the better they did last year. Start with this Mercedes. Mercedes-Benz, you know they're regular cars. They're a perennial powerhouse since 2014, and they're in F1 so that they can sell more road cars. On your left is Lewis Hamilton. He's British, a 7-time world champion, and he's towards the end of his career, but still one of the best. He's also a big proponent of social justice, especially more recently. And on the right is George Russell, a younger British driver. He's been at another team, Williams, for a few years. It's his first year at Mercedes, and people are really excited to see if he can deliver in a faster car. Next up is Red Bull. Yes, the energy drink company. They are in F1 to sell more energy drinks. They take themselves a little bit less seriously, but they still find a lot of success. On the left is Max Verstappen. He's from the Netherlands, so he's Dutch, and he is the reigning World Drivers' Champion. He's pretty divisive because he has an aggressive driving style and he doesn't really like media, but a lot of people still love him. He's my dad's favorite driver because my dad likes to say, "What's Verstappening?" And he always has a good laugh. On the right is Sergio Perez, also known as Checo. He's Mexican. He's in his early 30s, so he's like on the older side, and he's a dad, which is cool. He spent a long time in lesser teams, so people are really excited that he's in a better team. Next is Ferrari, as you might guess, my favorite team. Uh, Fun fact, Ferrari actually started as a racing company at the birth of Formula One, and they started selling production cars so that they could finance their racing habit, which is really exciting. And they're the only team that's been in Formula One for the entirety of Formula One. On your left is Carlos Sainz, my favorite driver. He's Spanish. He's universally well loved by the other drivers and by fans because he's a soft-spoken, really nice guy. He doesn't start a lot of drama, but he's also lightning fast. And on the right is Charles Leclerc. He's Monegasque, so he grew up in Monaco. He's young and exciting. He drives with a sort of risky style, so sometimes he does really, really well, and other times he crashes. He's often very self-critical and humble. Next up is McLaren, one of the more fun teams. They're a historic powerhouse, but they haven't won a championship since 2008. And they're British, but their CEO is American, which is pretty cool. And like Ferrari, they actually started as a racing team that started selling production cars so they could finance their racing. On your left is Lando Norris. He's British, young, talented, spends a lot of time streaming video games on Twitch too. And he's my sister Lucia's favorite driver. On your right is Daniel Ricciardo. He's slightly on the older side. He's bounced around through a bunch of teams over the past few years, but he's a proven race winner. He's Australian, and he was not great last year, but people are hoping better this year. And he's my sister Sophia's favorite driver. Before I forget, Carlos is also my mom's favorite driver. Alpine, they're the French team, formerly Renault. They've been in the middle of the pack for a while now, but they did win a championship in 2005 and 2006. On your left is Fernando Alonso, the man that won Alpine, then Renault, their championships in 05 and 06. He's Spanish. He's the oldest driver on the grid. Very controversial because some people see him as very controlling within a team, and other people think he's very authentic. And on the right is Esteban Ocon. He's a young French driver. He kind of falls through the cracks. He's definitely talented, but I don't think he's that remarkable. AlphaTauri. This is Red Bull's B team, as you may be able to see from their logo, a lot of Red Bull influence. And they're actually named after Red Bull's fashion brand. If you didn't know that Red Bull had a fashion brand, they do. It's not that great. And a lot of the drivers on this team hope to go to Red Bull someday, and like Max Verstappen, who's on Red Bull, used to drive for this team. On your left is Pierre Gasly. He's French, but like a cool French guy. He actually raced for this team, went up to Red Bull, and then was demoted back to AlphaTauri due to poor performance. But since then, he's had a hunger. He won a race in Italy. He's awesome. And on the right is Yuki Tsunoda. He's Japanese. It's his second year in F1. He's only 5'2", so very short. And he's a promising talent, but his last year was pretty unremarkable. And he's my sister Isabella's favorite driver. Aston Martin, James Bond's favorite car brand. It's their second year back in the sport after leaving in 1960. And they drive with British Racing Green. On your left is Sebastian Vettel, a veteran of the sport, a 4-time world champion, all-around great person, and lightning quick driver who's maybe fallen off a bit in the past few years, but I still have hope. He's seen as a mentor to a lot of the younger drivers, and he's also known for speaking his mind about social justice issues that he cares about, wearing things like rainbow helmets in Middle Eastern countries that are not super keen on gay rights. And on the right is Lance Stroll. Lance is a young Canadian driver whose dad actually owns the team, Lawrence Stroll. So he's gotten a lot of flack through the years about his racing career being pushed by his billionaire father, which it has, but Lance is also definitely a fast driver in his own right. Next is Williams. They're an old school British racing team. They're not started by a car brand. They're started by a guy who loved racing, Frank Williams. As you can see, we're pretty late in the list because they have not performed well recently, but they are the second most. They have the second most world championships over the history of Formula One. They've just sort of fallen off over the past decade, but maybe they're coming back. Who knows? On your left is Alex Albon. He is a British Thai driver. He's actually grew up totally in the UK, but he races under a Thai flag to get Thai sponsorships, and his mom's from Thailand. He used to drive for Red Bull and then left the sport for a year due to slightly lackluster performance, raced in German sports cars, and now he's back, and I'm thrilled to see him back. Hopefully he has hunger and excitement. And on the right is Nicholas Latifi, a Canadian driver. He's in his late 20s now. Um, like Lance Stroll, as a dad who's a Canadian billionaire, which has sort of pushed him through the sport a bit. But Latifi's definitely a good driver, but he's never had a great car, so no one knows sort of the true limits of his skill. Next up is Alfa Romeo, the Italian car brand, but it's actually a Swiss-based team. And a lot of people just want to see him sort of stop sucking because they were really great in 2009, but not really any other years. On the left is Valtteri Bottas. He is Finnish from Finland. He used to be in Mercedes as Lewis Hamilton's sort of second fiddle, but now he's in the spotlight. He's sort of the first driver of the team, and people are really excited to see what he can do when he's like totally unleashed. And on the right is Zhou Guanyu. People also say Guanyu Zhou, but that's wrong. He is the only rookie on the grid. He's the first Chinese driver in the history of Formula One. He's definitely done well in Formula 2, but it's pretty widely accepted that he would not be in his seat if China hadn't paid Alfa Romeo a rumored $30 million. Haas, the American team, even though they're kind of based in North Carolina, kind of based in the UK. You might recognize the name because Gene Haas owns Haas CNC, so they make milling machines and other things you might have used in back in college. And Haas actually also has a NASCAR team, Stuart Haas. On your left is Mick Schumacher, son of Michael Schumacher, arguably the greatest Formula One driver to ever live. Mick is German. It's his second year. He is young. He is hungry. He's exciting, and people are hoping that he will do well this year. And on your right is Kevin Magnussen. He actually used to race in Formula One for some teams and then Haas. He left last year and raced in sports cars in the U.S., but now he's back, baby, and people are excited to see if Kevin Magnussen has what it takes to both mentor Mick and drive the car fast. So these are a few quick things to watch for during the race that may or may not happen that are pretty exciting. So the start, that definitely will happen. So all the cars line up. F1 does a standing start, so they are completely stopped. There are 5 lights that will turn on, and then the lights go out. And when lights go out, the cars can drive. So since they're all bunched up, it's a great time to pass a bunch of people at once, which is why many of the drivers will take risks. So it's pretty common to see a crash in the first few corners. So definitely watch for the start. Possible safety car. So there are plenty of circumstances that could happen where they need to slow down the racing and bunch the cars up. So if there's a crash that they need to clear, they might bring out a safety car. And no cars are allowed to pass anyone, and the person who's in first cannot pass the safety car. They slow the cars down, which sort of messes with their tire temperatures and brake temperatures, but you probably don't care all that much. And just like in the standing start, they're all bunched up next to each other, which is a great time to pass. So when the safety car comes in, that's also a very exciting time. Also, the safety car has always been driven by a man named Bernd Maylander, who is a cool German guy who's in his 40s or 50s now. So maybe you want to root for him. Radio messages. These are really exciting. So this is the driver's radio talking to his race engineer on the sidelines. And it's a great way to get insight into what's actually going on in the driver's head. So they will show this little graphic on screen, and then if we could, we'll all quiet down, we'll try to listen. Something of note is that the drivers may lie because other people are, of course, listening to the radio. So Lewis Hamilton might say, oh, my tires are about to pop, or they're about to be dead, he'll say. And maybe that's true, or maybe he's playing mind games with the other teams. So don't always believe what you hear. Blue flags is something you also might see. So if a car goes to lap a whole nother car, they are let by to lap that car. The logic is that if one of the cars is so fast that it can lap the other one, they're really not racing, and it can be kind of hazardous to have such a big speed difference. So if you see a car let another one pass, like without really any effort, like it really seems like he hands the guy the road, that might be why. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I'm really excited to see you on Sunday. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you have any questions, let me know. Go Carlos, Forza Ferrari, and have a great day. See you Sunday. Bye.